there's something out there, lurking in the shadows of the Pacific Northwest, hiding deep in the fog-covered forests. A creature taller than any man, covered in dark, matted hair, and watching, always watching. Some call it a myth. Others swear they've seen it with their own eyes. Bigfoot, or as the ancient legends whisper, Sasquatch. Is it just a tale told around campfires, a hoax crafted by pranksters? Or is there something real, something terrifying, walking among us? Tonight we dive deep into the legend, the sightings, the evidence, and the chilling possibility that Bigfoot is real. This is not just a story, it's a warning. It was supposed to be a perfect Christmas, a cozy cabin, a warm fire, a family gathered deep in the snowy woods, waiting for Santa to come down the chimney. But that night, something else came down from the mountain. Footsteps echoed in the snow, heavy, deliberate, not from a sleigh, but from something much, much older. The children waited for jingle bells. Instead, they heard growls in the dark. It wasn't Santa, it wasn't human, and it definitely wasn't here to deliver presents. This Christmas, the legend of Bigfoot became terrifyingly real. And the strangest part, the creature didn't attack. It just stood there, watching as if it knew them. But what does Bigfoot want, and why? On Christmas night, stay tuned. The truth is colder than the snow outside.
Here goes
Oh no.
We're real scared of them. Rap! You stay here, Rap! You stay here!
Oh my God. Oh my God. We better get back inside, guys.
The dog was the first to sense an unusual presence. It's well known that dogs have very sharp senses, and he went to check it out, but came back quickly after seeing a strange creature that looked, or seemed to look, like Bigfoot. What would you have done in this situation? Would you have calmly continued your Christmas at the cabin, or would you have left? Many people say it's not real, that the whole thing was just too perfectly timed to be believable, almost as if the camera was waiting for something to happen. Some believe it was all staged, that maybe, just maybe, it was someone in a costume trying to scare the family. You know how things go wrong during the holidays. Maybe someone wanted to dress up as Santa Claus, but they accidentally grabbed the wrong costume. And instead of jolly old Saint Nick, they came out of the woods dressed as Bigfoot. Imagine that. 1 second, you're preparing milk and cookies. The next, you're face to face with a hairy giant that's not carrying presents, but pure terror. Coincidence? A prank? Or something much darker than a costume gone wrong? We may never know the truth, but one thing's for sure. That family will never see Christmas the same way again. You're walking through the forest, and suddenly, something appears in front of you. Tall, hairy, not human, staring straight at you. Your heart stops. Your mind races. What would you do in that moment? Run, freeze, pretend it's not real? Because when Bigfoot stands right in front of you, there's no time to think, only react.
Серега, что это? Серега, да ну, Серега. Серега, ну.
This is one of the scariest Bigfoot videos on the internet. But when it comes to the internet, you never really know what's real and what's not. So tell me your opinion in the comments. Is Bigfoot real or not? And if you enjoy my videos, a subscribe would really help me a lot. The following story comes from the late 1950s or early 60s, and it was told by someone who had nothing to gain by sharing it. Only memories he could never quite forget. At the time, the storyteller's father was stationed at Alameda Air Base in San Francisco. One weekend, he and a few shipmates decided to go camping during their leave. Nothing unusual, just a few guys, a fire, and the quiet of the California wilderness. Before heading out, they stopped at a sporting goods store somewhere near Berkeley to pick up supplies. While browsing, they bumped into two professors from UC Berkeley, clearly inexperienced in outdoor survival. The professors admitted they didn't know much about camping, but they had been asked by a Northern California logging company to investigate something strange happening at one of their remote camps. They told the group that something big had been tearing through the site at night. Equipment destroyed, heavy fuel barrels thrown around like toys. And worst of all, the loggers, tough men, were too afraid to work. The young servicemen, including the storyteller's dad, a skilled tracker who grew up hunting in Colorado's San Luis Valley, were intrigued. The professors asked if they wanted to join them, and without much hesitation, they agreed. They drove north, deep into the wilderness, somewhere near the California-Oregon border, close to the coast. When they arrived, the logging camp was quiet. Too quiet. The men began scouting the area, and almost immediately they found footprints. Huge ones, inhuman. They cast them in plaster, measured them. Whatever made them had been circling the perimeter of the camp. Then came the fuel depot. Several 55-gallon drums of diesel had been moved, but not rolled, lifted, carried. One of the barrels was missing altogether. The trail of footprints led to a nearby ravine, and at the bottom lay the missing barrel and a massive tractor tire, both thrown like trash. Whatever it was strong, beyond human, and it didn't want to be seen. That night around the fire, they tried to relax. Laughter, beer, false confidence, until one of them saw it, eyeshine, high above the ground, 8 to 9 feet off the forest floor, glowing emerald green, or maybe orange, just watching from the edge of the light. The storyteller's dad, ever the hunter, tried to outsmart it. He crept away from the fire, silently circled the camp. He even took off his boots, moving only in socks to mask his sound. But no matter how carefully he moved, it always knew. He never got close. And when he returned to the fire, 10 minutes later, the eyes would return. This happened again and again. He never saw the creature fully, but he knew something was there, and he admitted one thing. I don't know if it was Bigfoot. I never saw the thing clearly, but I do know. It was bigger than me, smarter than me, and a better tracker than I've ever been. He never changed his story, not once in decades. Now, whether it was truth or just an old man's tall tale, that's for you to decide. But if it was real, then something massive is still out there, watching, waiting, smarter than you think, and closer than you'd ever believe. Most people think Bigfoot lives deep in the wilderness, far away from roads, homes, or anything human. But what if that's not true? What if the creature everyone's been hunting for has been quietly watching us from the edge of the trees, closer than we ever imagined? This is the story of a former deputy sheriff from Oregon. a man trained to face danger, someone who didn't scare easily. He had a favorite place near the river, not too far from town, a quiet spot where he could think, relax, and enjoy the outdoors. He'd been going there for years, up and down the same embankment dozens of times. It felt safe, familiar, almost boring. But one evening just before dark, that all changed. He dropped down the embankment like he'd always done. The air was still, the sky fading to gray, and then he turned to face the river. And there it was, a massive creature, standing just feet away. It was tall, at least 8 feet, broad shoulders, thick dark hair, eyes locked on his. It wasn't running, it wasn't afraid, it was just there. He didn't scream, he didn't even think, he just ran. He scrambled up the hill and sprinted back toward his car, every step echoing through the trees. But he wasn't alone. It was following him, heavy steps behind him, getting closer. He made it to his car, slammed the door, and drove like hell. Didn't look back, didn't stop. Not until he was far from that place, and then he broke down. Not from fear, but from something worse. Confusion, horror, disbelief. He had seen something that didn't belong in the world he knew, and it hadn't been hiding in some deep, forgotten forest. It had been just outside of town, right near the place he'd always felt safe. That thought haunted him the most. He never went back. In fact, he left Oregon for good. Moved to Kansas, where the woods are thinner and the shadows don't feel like they're watching you. He doesn't talk about it much anymore, but when someone asks if it was really Bigfoot, he says one thing. I never saw the whole thing clearly, but I saw enough. It had huge feet. It was smart, smarter than me, and it knew how to move without being seen. It wasn't a bear, and it wasn't human. So maybe Bigfoot isn't just a myth. Maybe it's not out there in the deepest parts of the forest. Maybe it's been right behind us all along, watching, waiting, closer than we think. Waterfalls are supposed to be peaceful, hidden treasures deep in the forest, places where people go to escape the noise of the world. But this one, this is different. Locals call it Bigfoot Falls, and not just for fun. Strange things have been seen here. Footprints where no person should be. Shadows moving behind the mist, and sounds, loud, deep, and not quite human. This next clip was filmed right there. At the edge of the waterfall, no tricks, no filters, just raw footage. Watch closely, because if you blink, you might miss what's lurking in the spray.
Okay, just gonna listen for noises.
So what do you think? Was it just a trick of the light? A shadow caught at the perfect moment? Or was it something else? Out here, in the heart of nature, there are still places untouched by man, places where legends might just be real. Bigfoot Falls has a story to tell, and maybe you just saw part of it. Did you catch that? Watch again. Slowly. Bigfoot doesn't just appear in the background this time. He throws a rock. And not just any small stone. We're talking about a heavy rock, launched with real force. Now think about this. If this was just a man in a costume, wearing layers of thick fur, heavy makeup, maybe stilts, do you really think he could throw something that big, that far, with that much power? It's one thing to fake a costume. It's another thing to fake strength like that. This wasn't a casual toss. It was a warning, like it was saying, you've seen enough. Now leave. And that alone raises a serious question. If that thing isn't real, then how do you explain that throw? So what is Bigfoot? A legend? A survivor from another time? Or something even stranger? Something that watches us from the trees, that knows how to stay hidden until it wants to be seen. Every sighting, every shadow, every sound in the dark takes us one step closer to the truth. But the real question is, are we ready to find it? Bigfoot is more than a story told around campfires, and the deeper we look, the more real he becomes. If this kind of mystery keeps you up at night, if you want more strange stories, real encounters, and unexplained footage, then make sure to follow the channel, turn on the notifications, and join me next time. Because in the world of the unknown, we've only just scratched the surface.